Hello world, and welcome to episode 6 of CircuitTV. This episode we're going to be taking your questions. We're going to be answering some of the most frequently received questions that we get here at Circus Specialist. Some questions about products, some questions about what we do here with CircuitTV, some things about Raspberry Pi, Arduino, Makerspaces, electrical science, education, STEM education, science, technology, engineering, mathematics, and I'm joined here with my team of Sam, the general manager here at Circuit Specialist, as well as Roy, one of the product specialists here. And so without further ado, let's jump right into it. So the first question I got here, this one is going to be directed right for you, Sam. We're going to get you started here. What exactly, because you follow us on Facebook, or if you follow our newsletter, if you receive that to your email, you probably noticed that right now we're doing a really big sale on Handtech oscilloscopes. And these things are going for, what, 20% off?
20% off, yeah.
20% off, and that's a heck of a deal. I mean, you can pick up a new oscilloscope for what, under $300 now?
Yeah.
Under $300 for a brand new oscilloscope. So if you are a new engineer, you're just getting started with electrical engineering, making, and you've seen an oscilloscope and you know that people use them, but you don't exactly understand what it does. It's a question that we get a lot from a lot of the new people in this field. So, if you could just answer, what exactly does an oscilloscope do, Sam?
So, at the most basic level, an oscilloscope plots voltage over time. So on the y-axis, you measure voltage, and on the x, you'll measure time. So basically, with an oscilloscope, you can look at characteristics of voltage and time, and I've got a few examples here. You can look at the frequency and period of the timing. You can look at a duty cycle, which is the percentage of a period that a wave is either positive or negative. And you can look at rise and fall time of the voltage. Some of the voltage characteristics you can look at are amplitude. You can look at maximum and minimum voltages, and you can also look at average voltage levels of a signal. So at the very basic level, you may not need an oscilloscope if you're building a very, very simple circuit with just one switch, let's say, and one output. But as soon as you get into trying to time, some more timing in logic and ICs, or you need to determine whether those are aligning with your need, an oscilloscope can be really handy to help with that. So a lot of times you want to know what the shape of your voltage wave is, or your output, so you can use an oscilloscope to do that pretty easily. So they're great for all kinds of applications, automotive, signal analysis, all kinds of electronics, and among other things. So
it's also invaluable for finding spikes and transients in your signal. If you've got a glitch in your signal, you can plot the wave and see the spike where it shouldn't be.
Right. Yeah. So there's a few applications for the oscilloscope.
Limitless.
And obviously there are more advanced ways you can use them. We're not. Unfortunately, George, our electrical engineer, isn't present today, but he knows how to do. You can use our oscilloscopes to perform a FFT, which allows you to look at all the different frequencies within a signal, and there's some other cool tools out there for the advanced users.
Cool, very cool. All right, so oscilloscopes, good and very useful for more complex circuits, basically, and you can use them for troubleshooting and whatnot, correct?
Correct.
Cool. So next question we have here, this is a really hot topic lately with the STEM education and for people looking into getting into science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, and people who want to really get their hands on is, what is a makerspace? How can I find one? What is it for? So you may have heard this term, Makerspace, and basically what a makerspace is it's a facility usually established either by a company, sometimes a nonprofit educational organization, and the makerspace is a place where you can go, and they usually have all of these tools. So they'll typically have a couple oscilloscopes, some soldering stations, maybe rework stations. We recently actually sent a Blackjack BK 8000 over to a makerspace in Philly, and they said that it's made a real big difference in their makerspace. So basically it's a place where you can go to get education as well as use tools. So they'll typically have workshops, classes, they'll teach you how to solder, how to use an oscilloscope, etc., etc. So if you're looking for a makerspace, a great place to start is a good old-fashioned Google search, where you can go and find a makerspace in your area. Or if you're here in Arizona, we actually have our own little kind of mini makerspace. It's our Circus Specialist workbench, and this has oscilloscopes, soldering stations, as well as total access to the thousands and thousands of parts in the warehouse.
3D printer access. So you can use our 3D printer. All we ask is that you pay for the material used in your print and a very minimal setup fee. Trying to get more people access to such a cool device like that.
And we also had a special for the members of the IEEE at ASU. So if you're a member of the IEEE at ASU, talk to your leader and talk to them about coming in, because we actually do offer that totally free to members of the IEEE program at ASU. So that might be worth looking into if you guys are looking to get some hands-on experience or use these tools for your projects. And more information about the workbench can be found on our website or blog. Roy, do you have anything you want to say about the workbench?
It's a great reason to join the IEEE. Just access to this workbench alone is invaluable. It gives you the chance to try this equipment before you buy it. Really works out nice. The Robox 3D printer we have is top-notch. We've got great oscilloscopes on the bench, great soldering equipment, and as Cody said, access to all our parts. We can get you set up. Come on down.
And the team, we're all here.
Yeah.
So if you have questions about parts, we've got circuit specialists in the building.
Yep, try to stump George with a question.
Yeah, George, man, good luck on that. You can't really stump that guy.
Yeah.
So moving forward, this is a question that we're going to direct kind of like open here, is at what age should children start learning STEM? So STEM, of course, standing for science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And let's start with you, Roy. What do you think? What are your feelings on that?
I don't think there is a minimum age. I don't want a 3-year-old handling a soldering iron, but the building blocks that are available today, the CircuitWorks programs where they've got the conductive ink pens and the little magnetic blocks, that's great. I wish I'd had that when I was a kid. Would have been very, very handy to put stuff together. There is no minimum age. If a child has an interest in it and the resources there, I say utilize it. It's never too early to start with that.
Definitely. I agree with you on that. Wouldn't want a 3-year-old handling a soldering iron. At least not with those.
Some 30-year-olds.
How about you, Sam?
So yeah, I think unfortunately the U.S. doesn't start STEM education as early as some other countries, but I think we're starting to move in that direction. I think Circuit Specialist has a lot of products that are typically sold to an older audience, but we're gaining products that are geared towards a younger audience, like the Arduinos, like some other kits that we have, single board computers, even the Raspberries. We see kids getting involved with a lot more. So yeah, I think just as Roy said, just trying to find cool projects that kids can get interested in, and keep it simple. You don't have to build a nuclear reactor every time. Just make simple projects that can encourage learning.
Definitely. Yeah, I like what you said there about the Arduino. The Arduino is simple, safe, effective. You can actually, get started with teaching your kid how to do a blink circuit. You even learn together. You grab an Arduino, grab a breadboard, some lights, some wires, and starting, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Kids learning code these days, I feel like that is essential at this point in the day and age that we're at, you know what I mean? Coding is going to be, you know, one of the next big languages that people are almost expected to speak coming out of school, you know? And with the future of robotics technology and connected devices and how technology is just really taking off and growing, I feel like it's going to be more and more essential to really have kids graduating with these skills.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I definitely agree. Great points, guys. Next question. This one here is actually a little bit more product related. And this one I'm going to direct to you, Sam. As what are some of the basic electrical science supplies? So if we're a school or we're someone who's looking to get started, we have nothing. We have no idea, no concept of what we need to really start tinkering and learning electronics and learning how to create code and devices and really start building. What is it that we need to get started? What would be a great place to start?
Well, if I were just getting started in electronics and trying to learn more, I think I would start with a few different products. And the first one would be a breadboard with some jumper wires. I would buy some LEDs to, as you said, make some kind of a blinking circuit. I think another invaluable tool is an Arduino, of course. So those are a few basic building blocks. I think soldering is, you know, for the younger audience, it's obviously you're dealing with a lot of heat. It's probably not necessary to solder for the beginner user, but definitely having a breadboard with just jumper wires you can connect to various tools is a great one. And beyond that, yeah, I can't think of any other. Maybe a 555 circuit. So that's part number 555 on our website. Those are very versatile ICs. You can look
timer.
up
Counter timer, yeah.
Yep. You can find hundreds of projects online that revolve around the 555 timer.
Cool.
Maybe a small stepper motor, small servo motor. Those are fun tools to use as well. So
Start building mini robots.
yeah, exactly.
And a
Start
small
building-
power supply.
Yeah, definitely small power supply as well to power the circuit.
And Circus Specialists, they also cater to schools and educational facilities, right, with the lab kits. Do you want to talk a little bit about that and how somebody, if you're a teacher or if you're the leader of a makerspace, for example, how can they get all those parts for all of their members?
Right, so if you're a teacher or professor who's come up with a curriculum and you have an idea of what you want to include in each of your labs, let's say electronics labs, we can actually put together kits that include all of those components and include a parts list, put it all together for you in a very compact, organized way so that you can focus on teaching and allow us to do the assembly of that kit for you.
Sounds like a great resource, those kits. So if you want to learn more about kits, you can email kits@Circuit Specialist or visit the website. There's a link to educational lab kitting service. That's what you want to look up on the website. So moving on to the next question. This is one of the ones we get most, and this goes right back to the electrical science education, is what is the difference between an Arduino and a Raspberry Pi? So we've seen a few builds with both. If you tuned into previous episodes of CircuitTV, you've seen us do live Arduino programming. We've also seen the Raspberry Pi door cam that Roy developed. And so now people are just constantly asking, what's the difference between an Arduino and a Raspberry Pi? Which one do I need for what? So real basic, the Arduino is a microprocessor. Its program is set to be basically a single functional loop, whereas the Raspberry Pi, and Roy can tell you a lot more about this because he is a Raspberry Pi expert. Well, there's a lot to know. But the Raspberry Pi is a fully functional single board computer. You can run Linux on it. You can run a variety of different operating systems, and they can actually run a diverse set of programs, whereas the Arduino is more of a controller, where you can do something like, have a servo sweep or something like that. Roy, would you like to expand on that a little bit?
Well, the Raspberry, as Cody has said, it's a full computer. When I started my first computer back in the day, I think 1978, was a Commodore PET. It had 8K of memory. This thing has got a gig.
A gig of memory
yeah.
on a credit card sized
yeah,
computer.
on a credit card sized computer that costs $35 to $40. It's amazing what you can do with it. As Cody said, it'll run Linux, it'll run Raspberry. There's even a Windows 10 IoT version out for it. I haven't played with that yet. It's almost limitless what you can do with it. As Cody's mentioned as well, I run a weather station off of it. I'm a weather nut. I'm always curious what's going on outside my house. So not only do I have the weather station on the roof, it sends out a tweet every 15 minutes with current temperatures and all that. I send weather data to the National Weather Service. I send it to Weather Underground. I used to do it with a full-fledged desktop computer, and that used a lot of power. It's like 400-watt power supply. The Raspberry runs on like a 5-watt supply. It's so much more energy efficient, and it actually does a better job because it's not fighting with other programs trying to run. Yet I have run other programs on the Raspberry as well because it is a fast little computer for what it is. And incidentally, this week, the Raspberry Pi Foundation announced that they'd sold their 10 millionth Raspberry Pi computer. That's just absolutely amazing that this thing took off. It took off much, much more than even they expected. They set this Raspberry Pi up from Cambridge University in the UK, literally just as an educational aid, and it took off on them. It went totally crazy. There's people that use it like I do for weather stations. There's people that are doing browsers with it, little kiosks, any number of different robot controls, any number of things. There's even been Raspberry Pis in space. And that's just, it's fascinating that they've been able to do that with it. And quite frankly, if I can figure it out, anybody can. And the documentation to it is just phenomenal. If you've got a question on it, there's tons of people out there that are willing to help on it. And it's pretty straightforward, and it's a lot of fun. And that's where I've had a blast playing with it. Yeah. Any questions? If I can't answer them, I can point you to somebody that can. Our email addresses are on the bottom of the Facebook line. Contact us through Facebook, on the webpage, whichever, and we'll try to help. And we'll be happy to sell you Raspberry Pi as well. But it's a lot of fun, and I've got more projects that I'm working on. I'm still working on the doorbell camera. Going to add the doorbell control to it. I'm going to add the outside outside the network, so I can access it from here or from my phone, whichever. It's just a lot of fun, and it's got a lot of uses.
35 million, or not
No,
35
10
million.
million.
That's 10 million
Yeah.
at $35. That's crazy. 10 million Raspberry Pis. So the next question, actually, we're going to go right back to you, Roy. If you follow us on Twitter, you've probably noticed occasionally we will retweet the broadcast from Roy's weather station. So Roy's weather station, it'll tweet the weather information, and if you follow us on Twitter, you've probably seen that in your feed. So Roy, could you tell us a little bit more about the weather station? Kind of what was the inspiration? How does it work?
Oh, sure. The weather station, I run a program called Cumulus from a gentleman in the UK. It's a not entirely free program. He asks for, it's like donationware. He's been around for about 10 or 12 years now. Really nice guy. Very, very simple to set up on a PC, on a Raspberry Pi. It'll run on just about anything now. And it's pretty straightforward. I have a Davis Vantage View weather station. It's a prosumer, they call it, weather station. And they'll work with the cheap weather stations. You can get a weather station that'll work with it for about $100. The Vantage View from Davis is about $350. If you're a little bit more nuts about it like I am, you spend more. You can spend thousands on them. Basically, you set up the Raspberry Pi, you flash the Raspberry image, and then it runs a program called Mono, which kind of emulates a Windows environment as far as the command line interface goes. So this all runs command line based, it's all text, and then you bring it up on a browser on another computer. So the Raspberry runs what they call headless, so there's no keyboard, no monitor, it just sits by the weather station and transmits it all out to another computer on your network. You can do it on the Raspberry, but it works a lot better if you've got a desktop or a laptop. I'm working on hooking it up to my Roku box so I can display it on my TV, but haven't quite got there yet. Same way I did the ADS-B aircraft receiver. It sits off back in the back of my house close to my other antennas. So I've got an antenna farm in the backyard, and it watches the sky and picks up airplanes from 100 miles away. It's really kind of cool. It's the new replacement kind of for radar, and I contribute that to, I think it's Flight Radar 24. So if you go to that website, you can see airplanes all over the country. I actually watched Trump Force One fly across the United States the other day, and they say that can't be tracked, but it can. You just got to know how. But I'm a hobbyist. I love radio. I love computers. I love all kinds of stuff. I'm into amateur radio a little bit, but if it transmits, I like to hear it. So, and that's just kind of the extra little goodie to it. Add the computers to it. But again, the Raspberry, probably half the computers I've ever owned, and I've owned a bunch of them over the years. The Raspberry is more powerful than probably half of the computers I've ever owned before. Even my Amiga computer, my old Amiga 1000 from the 80s, the Raspberry will even emulate that. And back in the day, that was a $2,000 computer and a $40 computer, emulating it and running it faster than it was back in those days. It's just fun, and you'll learn a lot with it. And of course, they emulate the video game cartridge games and things like that. So you can have all kinds of fun with them.
Those retro gaming boxes.
Yeah.
Now people are even 3D printing the actual case. I've seen like a Super Nintendo that someone 3D printed, put a Raspberry Pi in it, and it looks just like a Super Nintendo, but it runs Raspberry Pi.
Well, and just to add another note to that, our parent company, we use the Raspberry Pi as a print server and fax server. So it sits off with a little $20 fax modem plugged into it. It controls through Linux. It controls all the printers on a network. Again, it could be done on a $500 computer or a $1,000 computer, but it does just as good, if not better, on a $40 computer. So why not?
And as a camera for some of these live streams,
we've used it for the camera. If you've watched the previous broadcasts, we do Raspberry Pi video. You can literally make a remote camera that could sit anywhere in the world and do wireless. There's some fairly inexpensive cellular modems now. I'm just about ready to start playing with one of those. So you could set a Raspberry up, as long as you got cellular or wireless access. You could set it up anywhere in the world, and for a very low dollar investment, you could have a remote camera sitting on top of Kilimanjaro or something like that, and have a webcam up there. I'm working on a project just in theory right now of a parent tracker. My folks are getting up fairly elderly. My father's 87th birthday is coming up this month, and I want to put a tracker at least on his truck, so I know where he's at. I'm getting a little concerned. I want to make sure that I know where he's at. I can't get him to keep his cell phone turned on, so if I've got a little box mounted in his truck, with his knowledge, of course, I'll at least know where he is. And I think I can build that for under $100 and maybe $15 or $20 a month. Just the peace of mind of being able to keep an eye on where he's at. I think he likes the idea. He's kind of grumbling about it, but he'll come around to it.
Definitely. So Raspberry Pi, lots of uses, even in the commercial environment. I like what you said about that print server, and I'm going to use that to segue into our next question, which is about a market that we're a part of, but is a little bit more of a little smaller market is our commercial market with programmable logic controllers. And Sam knows a bit about these. And so, Sam, how can a PLC or programmable logic controller help a business?
So, so a programmable logic controller is primarily used in industrial automation. So it could help your business if you're running a manufacturing line and you're trying to get it to the next level of automation. So maybe for a smaller company that's trying to get a little more automated with their production assembly. But if it's okay, I was going to talk a little bit about the background of PLCs.
Yeah, definitely.
And what they are. So programmable logic controller. So there's three words there. Controller basically describes how the device can monitor various conditions. So you'll have several inputs and outputs to the device, and it determines an outcome based on those conditions. So you could say if a door is closed and there's no motion, lights go off. So that's one example of how it could control. And that's where we get into the logic, is an and statement or an or statement or a not statement. So they often use truth tables or just logical ands, ors, or nots to illustrate that type of situation. And finally, the programmable aspect of it is basically describing how you can set up those conditions however you want. So you could set minimums, maximums, whatever conditions, and logic. And then I just wanted to kind of highlight the value of PLCs and the value of becoming a PLC programmer. So there's obviously a learning curve, but in industrial automation, and I used to work actually at a water bottling plant in West Phoenix, and I was learning about manufacturing theory during that time, and one of the topics is the theory of constraints. So, and I was reading a book called The Goal by Eli. I'm not remembering his last name at this moment, but it's called The Goal. It's about manufacturing, and they talk about bottlenecks, and when a piece of your manufacturing line goes down and it happens to be the bottleneck, not only does that cost you the parts that come out of that bottleneck, but it costs you the production capacity of your entire line, because for that hour or 2 hours you can't produce anything, because that's the limiting factor. So instead of losing out on a few $100s in parts, you're actually losing out on a few thousand per hour, and potentially millions per month. So that kind of explains why the PLC programmer is such a high valued career and profession. So I just wanted to highlight that a little bit. And so here at Circuit Specialist, we're now carrying Array PLCs, and it's a new product, as you say, for us. But we had a customer come in last week that is a PLC programmer, typically works with Siemens and some other big companies in the PLC industry, and he said ours are, have the same features, and they're a third or a quarter of the price of some of the big names. Obviously, we don't have the reputation that those do, but they are from one of our favorite manufacturers, Array, over in China.
They make the DC load?
They make the DC loads, yep. So the DC loads have been extraordinary for us. We get almost no returns, great feedback. George uses his almost every day, and those are programmable as well. So we know that they have a good background and good software background. So we're really excited about those, and take a look on our PLC tab of our website to see more.
Awesome. That's great. Thank you very much for giving us that rundown of the PLC. So definitely great commercial applications, can save you tons of money when programmed right. And for the kids watching, if you want a solid career that's probably not going anywhere, learn how to program a logic controller. See if you could pick one up, either from Circuit Specialist, or if you get one that's, old, rundown, beaten up off Craigslist, just something to start playing, learn it. See if it's something that interests you, and then maybe it's even a field that you want to go into. So great, very great. Thank you, Sam.
That's actually something that the background that they'll get with the Arduinos and the Raspberries, a lot of that technology will transfer over into the PLCs very, very easily. So if they learn a lot of the basics on Arduino and Raspberry, and in computers in general, will translate over very well. But it's nice that we have both. And I wouldn't want to stake my business on it, but you could use a Raspberry Pi as a PLC as well. But the actual PLCs, the arrays, are much better suited to that.
A little bit more rugged.
Yeah, yeah. But just great background between the two.
Definitely, definitely. All right, so this next question, this is a question that everybody that visits CircuitSpecialist.com is asking, whether they realize it or not. So I'm going to direct this to Sam. Roy, I'd love your feedback too as a product specialist, but why should I buy from Circuit Specialist?
So why should you buy from us? Just to keep it kind of brief, we sell technical products that do involve a learning curve for 99% of people. You're going to have to learn a little bit about the products. You could buy from Amazon and get free Prime shipping, but you're not going to get customer support like you can get here from George, from Roy, from myself, from Josh. So that's the main reason, I think, is the technical support, low prices, and the extended warranties that we provide. We give a 30-day money-back guarantee, up to 5-year warranties on certain products. Typically, it's a 1-year warranty, but those are the main reasons.
Cool. It's just that consumer confidence. If you ever have a question or if you're stuck, we've got a whole team of people here ready to help you. Roy, what do you think?
Well, the other nice thing too is if you're buying from Circuit Specialists, especially directly over the phone with us or on our website, you're getting something that's coming from the United States. I'm not going to try to knock the Chinese products because we sell a lot of Chinese products, but a lot of the stuff that you see on Amazon, a lot of the stuff that you see on eBay is sold by and is shipped from China. And yeah, you can get it oftentimes cheaper, but when you get it, if there's a problem with it, oftentimes it's a nightmare to get it back to the vendor, if you can even find them. Where we've been around since 1971, we've got a great reputation with our customers. We really do want to, keep our customers happy. We will usually bend over backwards to try to keep a customer happy. If a shipment problem exists, we'll try to make it right. We've even had people call and say, gee, I goofed and my PayPal address was different than my actual shipping address, and I didn't notice that when I placed the order. What do I do? The order's halfway to them. We'll do our best to get the package rerouted. You're not going to usually find that with a Chinese source. Again, not belittling them. There's a lot of times there's a language difference, but virtually everything that we sell comes right out of Tempe, Arizona. We do have a few things that we drop ship from other places around the United States, but generally it's in our warehouse here, and we've got the inventory to back it up, and I think that's pretty important.
And we even offer free shipping over 200, right?
Yeah, and some ideas, some orders that are under that select items that we do offer free shipping, and it's very nice, that if you order a $70 Variac, it ships free, and if you've got $15 worth of other product that you've got in there, as long as that first item is a free shipping item, the whole rest of the order is going to ship for free. And we're really trying to keep our shipping costs down to a reasonable level, but it does, obviously it does cost money to ship stuff.
Yeah. Free shipping is nice. All right. And so this last one, kind of to wrap it up here, is where can we find more information about discounts and promotions and what's going on in the world of Circuit Specialist? I'd like to just start this with, the big ones, which would be our email newsletter. You can sign up for that on the website. That right there is basically your main line to all of the deals, discounts, promotions offered by Circuit Specialist. We have emails go out all the time, and they're usually packed with great stuff and savings. In addition, our social channels, we love connecting with our clients on Facebook, Twitter, this CircuitTV. Obviously, we broadcast this live on Facebook, but then we also post it on YouTube. Our YouTube channel is growing. We've got a lot of different really cool videos, some product overview videos, tutorials, you name it. We would also love your suggestions. So we reached out this episode of Circuit TV to try to get some feedback and see what you guys were thinking lately. And so basically, if you have something that you want to see, if you want to suggest a Raspberry Pi or Arduino build, or if you're kind of stuck on, you know, one of the more basic functions, if we need to put together some kind of a Blink tutorial or something like that, we've got we did a matrix, LED matrix build and programming on the blog. The blog is also another great place to find information. We do also repost the deals and discounts to the blog. So yeah, we hope you'll connect with us. We hope you'll connect with us on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, newsletter, and our blog.
Yeah, and don't forget to like them, share them, trade them with your friends. You know, we can use all the traffic we can get. We love that.
The more the merrier.
Yeah.
Before we wrap up here, Roy, is there anything you'd like to add?
Nah, just bye. We love to sell stuff.
We'd like to stick around.
Yep.
Yeah, thanks for tuning in, guys.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. Well, this is Circuit TV, episode 6, Your Questions. Cody Mack here, joined by Roy, Sam, and
all the Circuit Specialist team.
Yeah, there's a lot more behind the scenes. Thank you all for joining us. We'll see you guys in 2 weeks.